Last one of the offseason.
Let's roll.
You ready for this?
Let's do it.
I am Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. This is This Week
In Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, this is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express, not lying, might have it for lunch.
Start your season off right with some fresh Chicken Express tenders.
I really might. Because, like, phase 1 of the diet is now ending, and now we're getting to, like, maintenance mode. And I'm like,
every time I see like a team getting the Tendy box after in the post game,
we were I want to say it was last year. Pickle, I think you were there when we went to Mesquite. We saw Longview play West Mesquite. West Mesquite?
Yep.
One of the Mesquites.
It was West Mesquite.
And after the game, because Longview, of course, has a pretty decent drive home from there, they were just lining up these boxes, the yellow boxes of tendies, and I'm like, oh man.
I see it every year.
They're doing it right. And you know what? You want to talk about a coaching staff that shows their love, they don't say their love? That is showing your love.
Win or lose, if you're getting that yellow box after the game, I'm your
yellow
friend.
Box. Oh, my gosh. You're getting that yellow box, got the flying chicken on. Oh.
We were kind of standing around at that point. We were waiting for Coach King, and we were like, how long do you think we could wait here before they're like, hey, we have extra, do y'all want some?
Yeah. I think
at that point, we were like, Coach King, take your time. Don't worry about it. Seriously.
Yeah, we had to get out of there. But, yeah, there was
It's
definitely.
such a calculated thing, too, as having two kids that played foot. Like, they do a pretty good job of cutting that line pretty specifically. Like, we need exactly these many boxes.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, what if we had like 6 more?
There's always an offensive lineman that wants 2.
Ew. It's me. I am the offensive lineman.
So this week in recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete, we're going to start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise is going to Nacogdoches to talk about their 2023 wide receiver, Demarier Weaver, who announced a top 3 this week. North Texas, Sam Houston, and Stephen F. Austin. He's either going to be a mean green, he's going to be a Bearcat, or he's going to be a lumberjack. Going to commit on Thursday afternoon, right before the season, so tomorrow afternoon. This is a guy who I think is flying under people's radar. Really strong junior season there for Nacogdoches last year.
Yeah, and I really like his talent level as well. Good size. He's a little bit under the radar type of a player. Has a lot, a great skill set. Played on both sides of the ball. I think he's probably getting the most looks on the offensive side of the ball, but could easily play in the secondary as well. And to me, I wanted to spotlight this one because it's like these 3 teams, to me, are really battling after a lot of in-state recruits this year. Sam Houston's been doing a great job. SFA's been doing a great job. But North Texas has been an established FBS program for a while now. I would give them the advantage in most of these recruitments, but this is not your typical year as Sam is going to be reclassifying up. That kind of makes SFA the top team in their classification in the state after that. So a very unique battle for this player here, and we're going to find out tomorrow where he's going to go. But one lucky in-state team is going to receive this 3 stars commitment.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of a guy who I think illustrates the depth of this class.
Sure.
That we don't have him in the Hot 100, but we have him as a 3-star prospect and a guy who in past years, the guy who was rated at the number that he would be rated at would not be a 3-star guy. You know what I mean? He would be like a 2-star guy or something like that. But this is a guy with legit FBS offers who, it would be a really good get for all 3 of these teams, but again, is indicative of the depth in this class of 2023.
I think our fans that listen to this show have a great depth of knowledge when it comes to like watching tape.
Suck up.
They can see, I think, pretty much right away that this guy's bringing it on no matter where you line him up, even making plays on special teams. So Nack's got a special player, and I think he's well-liked on his team. So always root for these types of guys.
Let's move on to our underclassman of the week. Our underclassman of the week is Longview Pine Tree, soon-to-be junior defensive end Dalton Evans. And Dalton Evans, we're kind of flashing back in the Wayback Machine back to July 31st because there was a lot of recruiting stuff going on at the end of July. And so a 2024 commit probably flew under our radar, but he was the first commit to Texas A&M in the class of 2024, back on July 31st. We have him rated as a 4-star prospect, but here's a guy who he looks the part, 6'5", 270. It's fantastic stuff there. Underclassman of the week is Dalton Evans.
Sorry, he got 15 tackles for a loss, 5 sacks, 55 tackles last year. So this is a guy who really stepped up, I think, as a legitimate Power 5 conference type of recruit. And I think he's one of these guys. Like, we got so many guys right now in the state that are legit two-way players. And I don't think that Dalton Evans wants to hear that he could be a great offensive tackle. But 6'5", 270, he's got a big wingspan, and he's very talented. You see him playing tight end right here. But a good get-off for a bigger frame, jumbo defensive lineman. Uses his hands really well, and I think he's going to have the type of junior season that elevates him up the rankings list. And, of course, being committed to Texas A&M headed into that season doesn't hurt.
It gets your attention. Certainly, like, if you didn't know about him, then suddenly A&M swoops in and gets him, and you're like, oh, maybe I should pay attention to this guy. And you see that he's a monster there. And, yeah, you're right. Like, a two-way guy, I think some prospects may view that as like an insult, but really just shows that like he's a versatile enough guy that you can plug him a lot of different places and he would be successful. Obviously, A&M's going to have a plan for him, but like that's not an insult. It just means this guy's talented in a lot of different ways.
He falls right in line with what they've been recruiting on the defensive side of the ball. They signed 4 5-star guys last year, and I think all of them were taller or at 6'4", over 270, and they're defensive ends.
Yeah.
There are guys who could play inside some too, but they're looking for these bigger, stronger, longer athletes that are playing defensive end. And then they're going to use them all around the defensive front, and Evans fits that mold to a T.
Since we're going to recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete here on Texas Football Today, get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. I've gone out of order, and I want to apologize publicly to my producer, Ashley Pickle. Let's go to our commit of the week, which we were supposed to do second, but now we're doing third. Our commit of the week is Spring Decaney's soon-to-be senior safety. I guess I can probably start saying senior. It's football season.
Yeah.
Senior safety Ty Morris, who committed this week to Rice. He had offers from Houston, from Purdue, from Louisiana Tech, Marshall, Sam Houston. A 3-star guy, but a very nice get for Mike Bloomgren and company, fending off some pretty big offers to land the services of a local kid.
I really like Ty Morris, and we talk. You're going to hear this all the way throughout this cycle about the depth. Ty Morris is a guy who would be playing P5 ball most years. Rice gets a steal with Ty Morris, and Rice is doing a hell of a job on the recruiting trail this year. We kind of highlighted Sam Houston in an article about a week and a half ago, just kind of talking about how great a job they're doing. I don't know that it's going to show up in the national recruiting rankings when you browse on National Signing Day. I don't know that you're going to see Rice pop towards the top of some of these lists. But 2 years ago, they had a great signing class. Last year's class I wasn't as high on, but this year's class is really coming together, and they're building some depth there at Rice that I think is going to be pretty impressive. Tyler Morris is a guy who can play center field as a free safety, but as a strong side safety outside linebacker, he's not afraid to come put his nose in the box and make some big plays. This is that type of dude staying at home to play at Rice.
Maybe the American Conference bump is really helping him out a little bit.
I'm sure that doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? You're right. Playing in a kind of premier conference like that for Rice, and yeah, look, obviously staying at home. Obviously, look,
you can get a good education.
Let's put it this way: I don't need to see his GPA. I know what it is. It's probably pretty good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's doing that, and that's exactly. To me, that's the kind of recruiting that Rice has to do. You have to go and find the guys who can qualify, who are really good players, and then just cast the line and say, you know what? You come here, you're gonna be able to play big time football, get a great education, and this is a really, really impressive get to fend off. I mean, to beat out Houston for this guy is honestly really impressive.
Very instinctual.
Yeah,
he's a very instinctual player. Waste little time. I love to call. I guess when I think about it, I call it the zero angle, and the zero angle is the point where once the back gets the ball or the receiver, and you're both standing in one spot, right? Where do you meet that ball carrier?
Right.
He gets to the ball carrier, saves his defense yards every time. He wastes no steps in approaching that zero angle and attacking it. I love that. You see him chewing this guy up right here.
Let's round it all out with our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week, we're going to talk about a player who's about to strap it up for his sophomore season.
Very timely recruit of the week.
Class of 2025, and that is Duncanville's wide receiver, Decorian Moore. Decorian Moore this week was invited to play at the 2025 All-American Bowl.
Wow.
That is impressive.
Notable.
If you were like, hey, we're going to go ahead and just give you this offer right here. That's impressive. You're on team Decorian Moore. You think this kid is a freak show.
I think he's the best underclassman in the state, period, regardless of class.
So better than any junior, better than any sophomore, or
right,
any other sophomore.
Right now. And what I'll preface that with is there are guys in Texas high school football that are going to be rated at the top of these recruiting lists that haven't played varsity yet. Right? So we're going to find some names this year. We're going to uncover some more hidden gems. But right now, he's the best underclassman in the state. If I had to give a 5-star out to anybody in 2024 or 2025, Decorian Moore would get that 5-star.
Well, let's put it this way. He was a really important part of an offense, arguably their number one, maybe not their number one target, but certainly in their top couple of targets for a 6A Division I state finalist a year ago as a freshman. That should tell you everything you need to know. This kid can do a little bit of everything. He's already got offers from the usual suspects that you'd expect from Texas and Texas A&M and Ohio State and Oklahoma and USC. Everyone's after this kid because they know he's the future. And here's a 98-yard touchdown.
And
why not?
What I saw out of him in the offseason was his pluck and catch is really good. He understands how to get open. We all knew he was good, right? Because it's hard to play as a freshman at Duncanville, not something that's common.
Right.
And he had a breakout season. But his football IQ is high. He has really strong hands, which I think is really hard to see on tape. It's hard to kind of sometimes see in games. He has really strong hands. He can go up and get the football. 5'11". He's going to probably get a little bit bigger, but he's really super smooth. And that's what I like about his game. It's not only one intangible, right? Like he's a 4.3 40 guy, verified times on the track, which back all that up. He brings the complete package, and that's what makes Decorian Moore special. Duncanville is, is this year their year?
I guess we'll find out.
We will.
Now I get to ask you a fun question.
Okay.
Which is, where are you going this week, Powers?
Yeah, look, I get to use this graphic.
I will be at
Sports.
We're the Dave Campbell's crew's rolling hard, rolling deep to the Beckville-Timpson game on Thursday night, and then on Saturday I will be making my debut on Texan Live.
Dave Campbell's Texan Live, baby.
For the Temple at McKinney game, which it's loaded with prospects,
dude.
Loaded. Torian York is one of my favorite. We have
gushed over Torian York. Yes, we're big
He's
fans.
one of my favorite players in the state of Texas. I love Torian York. I think he's a great football player. Baylor got a really good commitment in him, but I'm also excited to what that matchup's going to be like, because on the other side of the football, McKinney has a bruiser in Brian Jackson. And I think that the if there's a knock on Torian York, I think people were like underestimating it because he's now 6 foot. He's over 6 foot, 217 pounds. But when last year he was probably 5'11".
Yeah.
So what's that? It's going to be utter mayhem and destruction in the middle of that field.
And by the way, you get to see Keldrick Luster playing, making his McKinney debut there for
Mikkel Harrison Pilot.
Mikkel Harrison Pilot. You picked a good one, my friend. You're
we are amped up.
That's going to be good. So make sure TexanLive.com on Saturday. What time's kick?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock noon. Be by the channel so you can listen to Greg Powers. Who are you calling it with?
Josh Green.
Oh, good. Fantastic. That'll be a lot of fun. So he's Greg Powers. He's making his his analyst debut on Texan Live on Saturday. He will be joining us in Beckville tomorrow. It's gonna be this is just a fun week. I'm just having fun, Powers.
And you know what? The weather.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the weather turned out perfect for opening week of football.
Everything's
Everything's
90.
lining up.
Yep.
So, yeah.